All right, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about a huge bottleneck in the whole AI revolution. I mean, we have these models that can spit out text and images in seconds, which is amazing. But what happens when you need an AI to think like a doctor, or an engineer, or a research scientist? Now that is a much, much harder problem, and it's exactly what we're diving into today.
And really, it all boils down to this one big question. Think about it. You can't just feed a medical AI a bunch of random blog posts and expect it to be reliable, right? You need verified, expert-level knowledge. So the real puzzle is, how do you bridge that gap between the massive, messy internet and the deep, specialized expertise that real humans have? That's the puzzle Codatta is trying to solve.
So their answer? It's this idea they call expertise data. For the last 10 years or so, it's all been about more data, more data, more data. But this is about better data. It's high signal, which means it's just packed with valuable information. It's verifiable, so you can actually trace it back to its source. This is the kind of stuff enterprises need if they're going to build AI they can trust with really high-stakes decisions.
Okay, so Codatta has this huge vision, right? But how do you actually get there? Well, their roadmap is really a two-part journey. It all started in 2025 with laying the groundwork, building a massive network, and basically pressure testing their whole system out in the real world. And wow, was it a big year for them on the distribution front? They launched their native token, which they call XNY, and got it circulating on all the major exchanges. But here's what's really interesting: the Binance Booster Program. They were the very first project selected, which gave them this incredible boost in visibility. And that helped them grow their network to over 1 million verified users.
And that number? That's the really crucial part here. This isn't just some vanity metric. We're talking 1 million verified KYC'd users. In case you're not familiar, KYC stands for Know Your Customer. It's that whole verification process. So for any company trying to build a source of trustworthy data, this isn't the finish line. No way. This is the real starting line. It's a pool of real, accountable people ready to contribute.
Yeah, this slide right here, it perfectly sums up their whole strategic shift. Think of it this way. 2025 was all about distribution, getting the token out there, recruiting users, making noise. But 2026, that's all about delivery. The focus completely shifts to using that foundation to provide actually valuable data, create real-world applications, and prove that their systems really, truly work. So why now? What makes 2026 the year for delivery? What's so special about this moment? Well, to get it, we've got to zoom out a bit and look at the massive shifts happening in both the AI world and the crypto world. And you can see these two worlds are just colliding. So, over in the AI world, we're getting past that initial wow factor, and companies are now demanding reliable systems that deliver actual value. At the same time, over in crypto, you're seeing things get serious. We're talking institutional adoption with Bitcoin ETPs and even Visa using stablecoins. This mashup means the standards are just way higher now. It's not enough to just launch a token anymore. You have to deliver something that actually works.
And all of this brings us to their big theme for 2026, Forge. And that is a really powerful word, isn't it? It's all about taking the raw materials they gathered in 2025, the users, the token, all that attention, and hammering them into something strong, useful, and real. It's about making their system work from end to end and plugging it into actual businesses. This quote right here really gets to the heart of why this is all happening right now. If you remember ImageNet, it was this gigantic library of labeled images that basically kicked off the whole deep learning thing for computer vision. We're at a really similar moment now, but the demand isn't for simple labels anymore. It's for this complex expertise data. And when data gets that valuable, well, the questions of who owns it and who gets credit for it, they become completely unavoidable.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. So how are they actually going to pull this off? Well, Codatta has laid out this very deliberate and practical plan for 2026, and they call it the three-loop strategy. Their strategy is built on what they call 3 interconnected loops. And the key word there is interconnected. They all feed into each other. You've got the protocol loop, that's the core tech, the engine. Then the network loop, that's all about mobilizing their community. And finally, the business loop, which is how you plug this whole thing into the real world to create value. Let's break each one down. All right, first up, you've got the protocol loop. Think of this as the technical engine of the whole operation. This is where they're building the automated tools to check data quality, deliver it securely, and, this is the big one, figuring out who gets access and making sure the experts who provided the data actually get paid for it through royalties. This is where their token, X and Y, stops being just a currency and becomes a key to the entire system.
Okay, next up is the network loop. This one is all about the people. The goal is to take that million-plus user network and turn it into a powerhouse of verified expertise. They're doing this by creating these specialized tracks where people can prove what they know and basically climb a ladder, building their reputation. And it's all backed by a super strict quality control system that a big business can actually audit and trust.
And finally, we have the business loop. This is where the rubber really meets the road. The plan here is to move past just small pilot projects and really scale up in specific industries that need this stuff, like healthcare and robotics. And the key here is to land what they call lighthouse customers, those big-name clients that prove to everyone else that this thing is for real and that it works.
So, when you start to weave these three loops together, the technology, the people, and the business plan, you really start to see the bigger picture they're painting. This isn't just about building another data pipeline. It's about fundamentally changing how we think about and value expert knowledge itself. And this right here is their mission, put as simply as possible. First, turn human expertise into a new kind of digital asset. Second, connect those assets to AI systems that are actually being used in production. And third, and this is so crucial, make sure the value that gets created flows back to the people who provided that expertise in the first place.
Now, one thing I like is that they're also super upfront about what they still have to prove. This isn't a done deal. There are two huge tests ahead. First, their whole train now, pay later system. That's their idea for paying experts based on how their data gets used. That has to work automatically, no manual stuff. And second, the data from their experts can't just be more data. It has to measurably make AI models perform better. That's the real bottom line.
And all of this really leaves us with one last and I think pretty profound question. I mean, think about it. For decades, our data has been vacuumed up by huge platforms, and we got what? Basically nothing for it? Codatta's work is part of this bigger movement that's asking if expert data really is the fuel for the next wave of AI, if it can become a true digital asset, then who gets to own it and who gets to profit from it? That's the future they're trying to forge.